Welcome to the basic sculpting solution video. In this video you will see my solution to the Define Your Bunny's Shape challenge in the last lecture. So let's quickly remind ourselves of that challenge, which was defining your bunny's shape. Hopefully you've gone through, you've had lots of fun whilst this is happening. And let's hop straight on over into Blender and define my bunny's shape. So let's hop back to, I love these hop references with a bunny, don't you? Let's hop back to our fluffy bunny, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually add in some ears. So I'm going to place the 3D cursor on the head, roughly in the position I want to generate a bit of geometry. I think, let's stop thinking, let's go back to our reference material and hop round to our other way. There we go. So the ears emanate from somewhere around here and roughly at the back of the head. Perfect. So I'm going to add, in this case, a plane. I'm going to rotate it round on the x-axis to roughly the right angle and scale it in. So again, it's roughly the right size. Now I'm going to want to scale it in on its own x-axis as well, by the looks of it. So scale x to make it a bit flatter. So there, I'm going to pull them in, so sitting all the way inside our model, and then I'm going to extrude it up in its own z-axis in a moment. So let's go into edit mode and extrude. In fact, that's probably right. Wireframe off. Well, I say that's probably right, that's probably massive. There we go. So I can rotate that top bit again on the x-axis, perfect. Pull it up slightly and pull it up. I'm going to add a loop cut in the middle here, and again scale that outwards. It's probably made a bit of thickness there. Okay. Let's scale that in on the x-axis only to make it thin again. This top bit's going to want to be thin anyway, so I'm going to select the face and scale it in on the x-axis to make it thin. Oh, not push it through one another. Okay, now this whole top area here, I'm going to turn this toggle off, limiting selection to visibility, so I can go through my model if I wanted to, but with that face selected, I'm going to pull it over slightly to the side, just a little, and I'm going to do the same with this area here. So I'm going to use order select to select all of that top area, and I'm going to, I've selected something I don't want to select actually. Let's clear my selection, select, let's turn back on border select, and there, oh, it's selected the face there. Let's go to vertex select, and that will eliminate that problem. And just push that bit over as well. Probably just select the top here, and again, this is probably me delving a bit too much into detail. That's fine. I'm going to select in object mode both our models. Excellent. I'm just going to duplicate that so it's got two ears rather than one, so I'm going to use a mirror modifier. Excellent. And it's going around the point of origin. Now I don't want the point of origin to be there, I want it to be at 0, 0, 0. So with that in mind, let's mirror object. If I select the rabbit itself, which is still called Metaball, so I'll sort that out and apply that. There we go. That's better. I've got a rabbit with big ears that I can model a bit more detail in a moment. Let's already add a subdivision surface modifier. There we go, it's already looking a bit better. I'm going to crank that up by 1. Excellent. And apply. There we go, we've got some curvy bunny ears. Now I'm going to select this top one and the bottom one and merge them together into one object. And I'm going to call that rabbit, of course, because it doesn't have a name at the moment. Excellent, so let's get on to sculpting itself. So I'm going to flick into sculpt mode. And probably going to subtract first of all around the neck area. So I'm literally just going to go around here. Is symmetry turned on? Yes, it is. And I'm going to lower my strength a little, but widen the brush. Oh, that's a bit too big. Of course, I can zoom in as well. I need to tidy up my screen so I can see more. Pull that across. I should be fine with that then. So let's go through here. Take round. Put a bit of a hollow in the back of the neck. It's probably a little too much at the front, so let's go and add. Now the devil is in the detail when it comes to this. I'm happy with the general body shape, so let's focus on the head. Now we're going to have a lovely little face here. So I'm going to go to the front view, which will be Control 1 for me. And I'm going to turn our image off at the back. I'm going to do a very caricature of a mouth. It's probably quite accurate as well. I'm going to subtract because I'm going to be pushing into our model. I'm going to need dynamic topology going on since we've got a lot of detail being made here. I'm going to go back into object mode and set the shading as smooth. Go back into sculpt mode. Okay, I'm going to need a much smaller brush, so I'm going to make it much smaller. I'm going to zoom in a little here. Now I'm going to define the rabbit's nose, mouth as well, and I do need symmetry turned on, and I'll find out straight away if symmetry is turned on. Let's enable dynamic topology. Okay, I think this is the middle of our model. Yes, it is. So I'm going to put a straight line down here, and of course your version of your bunny, you can do it how you like. I'm going to increase the strength a little because I do want this well defined. Now the nose is something like that. Okay, and the mouse is almost the reverse of that. And of course I've learnt how to draw rabbits from my stuffed teddy when I was little. How about that? Okay, enough of my teddies. And so let's see how that looks. That might be a bit big actually on our rabbit, but you know what, I'm going to leave it like that. Let's give it more of a nose as well. So let's bring up the size of the brush a bit lower. Okay, one of the great things about using the shortcut key is you can see how big the brush is actually going to be live. I don't want the strength too high, but I need to start defining the nose a little more. But we might want a bigger brush here. Let's smooth that out. Lesson learnt here. That's eating away at my changes down here, but that's fine. So I've actually had a brief look at a skeleton of a bunny, and it doesn't look a thing like what I'm doing here. Let's smooth that out a little, and around there. Yes, we do need a little bit of a dimple in there. It's starting to come together. It's probably a little strong, that's half the problem. Okay, and I'm going to smooth some detail around the neck as well. Excellent. So that's starting to come together really well. Now the position of the eyes, let's get this accurate. Let's whiz round here and turn my reference on. The eye is there, and I'm literally going to do a subtract at full strength, and I'm just going to get the brush roughly the right size. So let's go in. There we go. And I'm just going to draw round and round in a circle to give us the eye socket that we can work on. Now of course that looks quite rough there at the moment, and you can go round it and smooth it out. I don't like that at all, so let's come back a little more and just do that again. What's probably not happening here is enough detail. So I've zoomed right in, so now we're going to have much more detail when we come in to fill our model in. And of course, that will go down to a certain level. Then we can click again, and in fact I'm going to increase my brush size ever so slightly and undo that last bit. You'll find yourself undoing lots whilst you're doing this. Do not worry about it. There's no perfect way of doing this, and literally the amount of time you spend doing it will be proportional to the detail that you can actually put into your model. It's as simple as that. The more and more detail you want, the longer it will take. Of course, you've got to be careful not to go too over the top with detail, because that's where most of us get caught in, drawn in and sucked into making our models, because we end up spending far too much time on the model itself instead of where the detail actually matters. And I think this hole is in the bunny's skull is probably deep enough now. Let's hop out and see and go around. Yep, that's absolutely fine. Now I'm going to turn the strength down as I apply smoothing, not 0 but a little bit more. So I just want the area around the eye to be much smoother than that. So let's go round here and just smooth out the details around here. So that will make the recess not so big in there. Perfect. I'm going to make the brush size just a little smaller and go around the edge here so it's not quite so disastrous. Okay, I don't like this little bit here, and so we can go back to add and start adding some stuff back in. That's absolutely fine. And smoothing that out. So nice big eye there. And whilst I'm here, I mean that's there, but we can actually model a rough eye in place. So out of sculpt mode into object mode, I'm going to click there with the 3D cursor and add ourselves an eye as well. Whoa, that's a bit big. Pull it in. There we go. And I'm going to rotate that around so the pole is facing outwards. So that'll be along the y-axis. There we go. That looks okay to me. So let's have a quick look around the model and see some areas that we can focus on a little more. Now, looking at the ears themselves, we can actually go and sort some of that out as well. I'm always conscious of the time I've got in these lectures to show you what's going on. I've got another 5 minutes or so, so let's crack on and do some modelling with those ears. Okay, so when you spend a bit more time on it, you can define a bit more of your model here. And you can see I've gone into a bit more detail around the ears itself. I've pushed in, I've just pushed in this area here and helped redefine where the mouth is, etc. Completely referring to the reference material again. So one thing I noticed with my reference material, in fact, looking again, I've made perhaps it a bit too hollow around here, but I did notice that the nose here kind of comes to a point, and mine didn't. It came to a blob at the end, so that helps define the nose a bit better. And again, do bear in mind that the fur itself is being added on top of this mesh, so you don't need a super detailed mesh at the moment. I can see here that I probably want my ears to be much bigger as well, and I'm going to use a proportional editing tool in a moment in order to just move this nose about, because I think it needs lifting up ever so slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and go to edit mode. Wow, there's a lot of geometry there. I'm just going to deselect everything for the moment. I'm going to select one of the things on the front. I'm going to turn off this see-through our model malarkey, and I'm just going to use circle select to select a group of stuff at the front of the nose. It doesn't really matter in this case which ones I've selected. I'm going to go to move those, but I'm going to use the proportional editing tool. So let's turn proportional editing enabled. There we go. And let's make it nice and big. So there we can move our model. Hey, that's quite useful. In fact, we can move a lot of our model if we wanted to, which we don't want to. We just want to move a much smaller area and point it up slightly. But I do need to be in the right view to do this. So now I've got that with proportional editing on. I'm going to grab it and make sure it's only moving in the Z-axis up and down. And you can see I can raise that up to roughly the right place, and I'm going to pull it out ever so slightly. Then I can do a very similar thing. So this is almost like sculpting again, but in a different way. We're actually just using proportional editing to control our model. I'm going to select this area here on our model again and whiz around back to the side. After selecting that area finally, and I'm going to move it again, but this time down ever so slightly. Now, because we're locked to this plane, that should be absolutely fine. It shouldn't move in the x-axis at all. Perfect. Now this fluffy area here, I'm not too worried about that because we can add that fluff later on. The ears themselves, let's have a look at the ears. So let's spin round and go up here. Okay, so I'm going to deselect what I've currently got selected. Excellent. And go around to the side view again and use border select. Just select the top of, I don't want just the top of that ear, I want both, so limit the selection to visible, turned off, round to the side, and let's just select the very top of those ears, brilliant, and then we can move those up, and because proportional editing is turned on, it will do everything, and using the scroll wheel we can change the size of that, pop it there. Let's see how that looks now. Much bigger ears, much better. Perfect. Let's whiz round into object mode so we can see what we've got here. Excellent. How did you guys get on? I'd love to see your bunny rabbits and see how they're coming on. Did you go for a more caricatured bunny rabbit? Please share in the discussions how you got on, what you created, and I will see you guys in the next lecture.